Hey everyone, it's Lindsay from My Crafty Plans. Today I am coming at you with a special video. So I just recently posted my first ever personal wide ring setup, which I actually did in a B6 wide TN, and I've been getting like a lot of questions about how I did that, how it works, how things fit compared to like an actual personal wide ring bound planner. So I thought I would just do like a deep dive into all the things. I have one personal wide rings planner and a bunch of TNs so that I can just talk about. Basically, I like lucked into choosing like probably the perfect TN for my collection for my setup, but I would talk about what happened when I tried to put the setup in to the other planners with some mixed results. But here is the ring bound planner that I actually have. It is a new planner to me, and it's a personal wide ring bound from Print Precision. It's in the color is Autumn Night, and it's got silver rings on the inside. So this is a personal wide planner, and you can see the rings. These are the rings that I put into my planner. These are Stationary Life brand. They come in a box like this. I got them on Amazon for about $17, and they do have silver, gold, and rose gold, so all three metals, which is really nice. They are 1.2 inch diameter, which is about 30 millimeters, and it also comes with stuff to like legit put them in a planner, which I may actually end up putting them in here eventually. So this is the rings that are in the Print Precision planner that it comes with. So those are actually even larger than this, so maybe 35 millimeters or so. They are actually even larger than this. So, and the spine of a personal wide ring bound planner is actually the same as a wide TN, so it's about 1.5 inches. This is my North Branch B6 Cherry Blossom, and it is a wide, and you can see that that is like about the same width. So then if I hold them length to length, let me zoom you out for a second. If I hold them length to length, you can see they're the same height. Honestly, like a B6 and a personal wide are really similar, and they're like about the same size. Well, let me put the TN on the bottom because that actually makes a lot more sense. So the TN, the B6, no, the ring bound planner, the personal wide, is just a drop longer than the B6 TN, which for Print Precision anyways, but these, because my rings are a little bit smaller, things actually end up laying in my B6 really, really nicely. Okay, so this is what this looks like with a bunch of stuff that is cut personal wide in it, and you can see where it comes to sort of on the outer edge. This isn't like stuffed full, but it's like decently chunked, and the personal wide insert paper stuff is all cut 4.75 by 6.75, so that is how that is all cut. I'm not the most precise cutter or anything, and I did make all of this stuff, but it is fairly, precise, and you can see when you close it, and you can see how I cut things. When you close that, you have a little bit of space here. You can get your elastic on no problem, and it doesn't interfere with anything, etc. So that works really nicely. So what I do have, if you watched my setup video, which I will link below, you'll know that I cut my my divider tabs. I actually cut them to be 5 by 7, and then on top of that I put the tabs sticking out of it because I wanted them to stick out, and I just like kind of got lucky with that working, I feel like, because if I had done that in any other TN, it would have been like so over the top long. So I mean, I wouldn't have done it, obviously. I would have seen as I was making it. So that's what that looks like in there. So again, this is 5 by 7, so it's just a drop taller, and honestly, like you can't even really tell on the tight, probably on the tall piece. It's just like a little bit taller in both directions, but it is quite a deal longer. You can see that that this sticks out quite a bit past, and actually when you close this comes pretty much flush to the outer edge of the TN, and just the tab sticks out, which was my intention for this. And actually a little bit even sticks out just the top, but I could have trimmed that down a scotch. And if I like pull it really flat, so like when I have all of them in there, some of them might just stick out just a teensy bit there. And that's what that looks like in there. And then as well, I actually, because I was curious and I'm sure I'm gonna want them, I actually just went ahead and picked up the new Jesenia's Printables Personal Wider Plus inserts, although I cut these so badly. So these are like the ones that are actually cut right, and some of them I accidentally like cut where the hole needs to be. So this is the front. It's just a week on 2 pages, but it's like the same length, but it's just a little bit wider than a personal wide insert, such that 3 boxes can fit across and you still have space for the holes. So again, if you see like what that it looks like close, it just does stick out just a drop from the TN. So you can see how that looks like there. And honestly, it just sticks out just like the same way that my divider tab did, which I took the divider tab out. I should leave that in to show you. So that does stick out just a bit. So basically, like the two things are like the overall length of the planner, which is probably a little bit more standard, and then the ring size. So I feel like if I put these smaller gold rings in here, this stuff, the personal wider plus insert would totally fit in here because the rings would just take up a little bit less space. And honestly, like this doesn't really bother me, but it might bother you. So if you are someone that's bothered by like just a hint of paper showing, then you know this might not be for you. But again, it doesn't, the tab, which I did on purpose, other than that, you can still get it closed. It's not going to damage anything, etc. So it's just a little bit of a chunk. But so she had said that those were really for the Foxy snap closure TNs, which I guess are just a little bit longer than the elastic closure ones. So that is how that looks in here. So then I have a couple of TNs right here. I have a Lush Foxy Fix Lush in Sunflower, that is a compact, and I have a Foxy Fix Sugar Cotton Candy. Is this cotton candy? I think so. A sugar cotton candy which is like this teal color. This is also a 4-string compact. So the spines on these are 1.25, so 1.25 inches. And then as well, I actually have another Print Precision TN here, and that is in the snow color. And again, it is a compact. So I have tried to put these rings in all 3 of these planners, and what I will tell you is it does not really work in the Lush, basically because the leather for the Lush is so floppy. You'll see when I put it in my other Foxy Fix or in the North Branch stuff, the sides start to pull in just a little bit from the like pressure of the rings, but because the Foxy Fix is like so much thinner and it's just like such a floppy leather, it ends up just folding in so much that it doesn't really work. So I wouldn't recommend doing it in a Lush planner. However, it did work in this botanical, nope, this isn't botanical, my other one's botanical, in this sugar leather, which is like a little bit sturdier. And actually it worked best of all in my Print Precision, not because the leather is less floppy, because these are about the same amount floppy, but these elastics are actually so much looser and like not as like springy as the Foxy Fix elastics. So another thing that you could do is actually restrap this with like a less elasticy elastic, if that makes sense, a less tight elastic, and then it would go in no problem. So I'll just show in both really quick. So the way that you put these in is honestly the easiest thing. You just kind of lay it down on top of the 2 middle strings, and then you take the outside strings and put them over the rings while the rings are closed. So left to right and right to left, making 2 X's. We got 2 X's, and you want to like loop it on the bottom so that you have an X here and an X here. So hopefully you can see that. Then what you do is you open up the rings, and I just found a bunch of videos on YouTube to showing how to do this, and you just take the inside rings and go ahead and pop them through the rings so that they're all the way through, and then you just go ahead and close your rings. So as you can see, it does start to pull up on these a little bit, but it is pretty secure because these are very like snug elastics, and you could loosen these up a little to make it go or not, and then to make it like less pulley, and then I just kind of like stretch the spine a little bit, like to, you know, kind of middle out the elastics, if you will, and kind of just tuck everything in so that it is fitting kind of nicely. And then that is what that looks like. And then that is what that looks like closed. So the elastics are in there. They're not going anywhere. And I'm going to go ahead and put the inserts in here to show you what that looks like with the compact. Okay, so that's what that looks like with the inserts in. I just mixed up the order. I'm going to have a really fun time putting that back in my planner for its setup. But you can see it comes out pretty far here. So when you close it, it's pretty much like flush with the planner. Depending on how poorly you cut it, there's like a teensy tiny bit sticking out there. It does not interfere with the elastic clothing, but it is like pretty much, you know, you're right there. So you have some options here. This doesn't mean you can't use a B6 compact. One, if this this doesn't bother you, that's fine. But you could also buy smaller rings. So these rings that I have are actually almost 30 millimeters, and they make rings that are 20 millimeters or 25 millimeters. So that might be a better fit if you're using a compact planner, because the overall things that are going to influence like how much your inserts stick out are, one, whether it's a wide or a compact, but then also the ring size. So then these again are the Jesenia's Printables Personal Wide Plus, and you can see like that. I'm not someone who's bothered by a little bit of paper, but that's not going to work for me. That's a lot. So I wouldn't really recommend using that. Again, if you went to smaller rings, that might work. And likewise, the divider tabs that I had made would not work. And they're actually kind of similar size to the Jesenia's. Like I said, that obviously is not going to work for me. It does not look nice, etc. So it's funny because this stuff looks really nice when it's open, but once it's closed, it's just not really happening. So that's what that looks like in here, but you can see how easy it was to put the rings in here. You are fine with stuff that's actually cut to be personal wide. I wouldn't be using the personal wide plus or anything like that, or like my sticky out divider tabs that are cut larger. But personal wide inserts again, and dividers and all of that are going to look, that's going to look just fine. In my opinion, it does come really, really flush, but you could drop down your ring size a little bit and you probably make do. I still don't think you would. Maybe with 20 millimeter rings, you'd be able to get some of the wider stuff in, but maybe not even on 20 millimeter rings. If these are 30, that seems like it would be really small. Anyway, the other thing that I want to show you is I'm going to pop the rings into the Print Precision to show you like why I think it works well in there too. So again, to take these out is really just the simple, you just kind of wind it back, you just open up your rings, pop those out, close your rings, and then everything just kind of slides on out. The elastics will get stuck in like kind of the corners of the ring mechanism, which is good because that keeps it from like sliding around and stuff and makes it secure while it's in there. But just while you're pulling it out, it just takes a little bit of finagling to pull that out. So this is my Print Precision. Sorry, it's white and my table is white, but these elastics are like honestly so loose. Actually, I may like restrap this if I'm going to use it as a TN, although I love this color. But again, you just cross it over and then open them and then pull the middle ones from the bottom. I'm just pulling them each to the side and putting them in the rings. So you can see this doesn't pull on the leather at all, just like it lays totally flat just because of how like because of the type of elastic it is. Oh, I missed one. Versus the Foxy elastic, which is like much tighter. Like you can, I don't know if that can show up on camera, but this is like, and this is like, it doesn't sound the same. Hopefully that worked on camera. But anyway, that makes this like that. And still, even when you like shake it and stuff, it's not going anywhere. So I would still feel pretty fine about that being in there. And then I will just pop. But this is like exactly the same length and it's the same length as the Foxy Fix and like the same ring size, so I'm not going to put the inserts in here. It will be the same thing. Basically, you're cool with like personal wide cut stuff, but anything wider is not gonna, it's gonna hang over the edge and stuff's gonna come right to the edge. But so the good thing with this is, with these elastics, is it does lay perfectly flat and it's not going to damage your planner at all. So if you, I haven't found any damage to my North Branch with having the rings in there for like about a week and a half, 2 weeks. So, the stuff bounces back pretty quickly, and like TNs take wear and tear as well because it is leather. But if you are concerned about that and you have like a tight elastic on your planner, you could just swap it out for like a looser elastic. I've honestly have elastic that's like this that I picked up on in like a jump pack on Amazon. I'll link that down below as well. I call that like my cheater's elastic. I actually have some on just the front of my North Branch leather right now. And this is like that same, actually this might even be like this might be in between the two, because that's going to make everything lay flat because the elastic's just not as stuffed, as tight. So anyway, this is my North Branch leather. This is the TN I bought these rings for and put them in, and that was just luck because this is honestly the only wide TN that I have in a B6 size. The rest of my are all compact. So it's just funny that I happen to use it like this, and it happens to work the best, in my opinion, on a wide. Anyway, okay, so this has 6 strings. I didn't watch a video or anything. I just figured it out from the 4 strings. So basically, you want to do the same thing. Take the outside elastics and put them over the loops, and then leave the next 2 alone and grab the 2 from the very center. I honestly don't really think that it matters that much, like which ones you leave alone versus not, but I think for just like for security, I just grab the ones all the way from the middle and again, open up the rings and just pop them inside. Basically, that is what it looks like. And then, you know, you can just kind of stretch your spine, as I said, to just kind of like flip that into place like so. Okay, so I'm gonna pop all the inserts in here and show you what that looks like in my wide. Okay, so I have my inserts in here. As you can see, this actually, it does look like it comes like almost sort of to the edge, but it's got like a teensy bit more space, less space I would say than the actual personal ride wings. Well, actually, maybe it's about the same, but like it certainly has more space than the compact. You're not like hitting anything there, and you have, I don't know, it's like super hard to see, but you have like, I can bend that in. So you have a little bit of space there. So that does work. And again, I had all this stuff in here. And I actually find that the fuller the rings are, the less stuff sticks out too. Cause then you're like, I don't know, it's just like, cause the leathers don't close as much. So when I only put like 1 piece of paper in, I was like, why does this look so weird? But when it's full, it's actually not, like things stick out a little bit less, which sounds weird, but it works. Okay, so I have the personal wider inserts from Jesenia's Printables again. So showing that, yeah, so that does like stick out just quite a bit. I thought that would probably work. And actually, if you like kind of just like push it in, okay, so here's what I would say about the personal wider inserts. I wouldn't buy all of my inserts as personal wider inserts, and I would put them either right at the front or right at the back, because if I slide it up the ring and my rings are stuffed, then you're not going to be able to see it. But if it's like right in the center of the pack, like you might be able to see it a little bit more. So that is another way you could sneak it in. But it does sit like, as long as it's near the top of your insert stack or the back of the insert stack, I do think you could use them in here. You might just have to do like a little bit of wiggling, but it's pretty flush with the edge. And then again, and like I said, I did do this on purpose because I like the way it looks, but it might not be your thing. I wanted my tabs to stick out the side because I just like that. So again, when I have this closed and all stuffed, which I will show at the end, and you can check out my full setup video, like my tabs do stick out, and you can see like these are sticking out a little because I don't have my ranks like stuffed full right now, and those aren't at the front. So they're hitting more in the middle. But yeah, so anyway, so you're just gonna get like a teensy bit sticking out, but it's not that bad, and you could still get the elastic closure around and have it, and it's okay. So if that makes sense. So anyway, that's what that looks like with that. And that is where the personal wide inserts hit versus the stuff that's cut personal wider plus, or, you know, which pretty much it's just like 5 inches long. So it's like a little bit, like a 1/4 of an inch longer than a personal wide insert. Okay, so I got my inserts all back in here, so I'll have to like re-put in my clips and everything. But so that is what that looks like closed. So like this one, that was actually the one I was using, I think, my monthly, is probably the one that, so like the ones in the middle stick out just a little bit more, but like if you like zhuzh everything around, it doesn't really stick out that much. You just got like a teensy view of the paper depending on your angle, and you can see the tabs, which is like, I intended to see the tabs because I like the way that looks, which is, again, just a personal preference. And then next time I would cut the tabs so that like the elastic is not like can sit straight and the tabs would go around them, if that makes sense. But that is what that looks like in there. So like you can see, I think it actually looks better when it's really full. So I thought I would just really quick just shove in, my rings are pretty stuffed, but I will shove in these personal wider plus and show you, and we can test that sort of theory that I have, and why like barely fit those in. Okay, so this is right in the front. So like I said, if they're right in the front, they don't stick out, which was my I guess, because like they're sliding up the ring, if that makes sense. So they're not going to stick out if they're like right in the front. They do come like right to the edge of the planner. And then I will stick them in the middle really quick. I might just actually just take this front dashboard out because like it's not fitting. So if I put them right here in the middle, then I think that they are going to stick out. And yeah, so then they stick out. So if you want to use personal wider inserts or something, I would recommend, if you're working with like a standard personal wide planner that isn't like the Foxy Fix snap closure, or you're working with, like I am with the B6TN, that you go ahead and put them in the front and get the rest of your inserts in the regular personal wide sides, which is fine because I actually think like the weekly one is where there's like a huge advantage to having them be the personal wider plus, because then you can fit the 3 columns and you can still do all your stickering, etc. But anyway, I hope you found this helpful. Let me know if you have any questions down in the comments below. If you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up. I'd love it if you'd subscribe and check me out on Instagram at mycraftyplans. Bye!